guys! Welcome to my channel.
That's more Eric Cartman than JoJo Siwa.
She does sound like Eric Cartman. Hey guys!
I'm the first lesbian that ever made music.
Ew, what was that?
Hey guys!
I can't put my finger on what it sounds like when you're doing that. But it sounds like someone. Wait.
But you said it sounds like JoJo Siwa.
No, when you're talking normal, you sound like JoJo Siwa.
Oh.
Like, the voice that we formerly thought was, like, the black man inside of you, it was JoJo Siwa, I think. You know, when you get to say anything, like, yeah!
That sounds like Tasmanian Devil. Motherfucker. Alright. Look at this Spine Crushers.
I'm your host, JoJo Siwa.
Welcome to Spine Crushers, a podcast where we talk about books and a whole lot of other shit. We're your hosts, Camille
and Melanie. We finish each other's sentences.
And let's get down to business. Today we're talking about The Elementals by Michael McDowell.
It's scary. I'm scared already.
Okay, so who would you recommend this book for?
I would recommend it to someone who, you know, your husband just left town, mom and dad are away, you're alone, like you're looking for a nice, quiet read. Maybe you're at the cottage by yourself. The power was cut, so your best friend's outside trying to fix the power line.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And, you know, you want something to do while you wait for her to come back.
That's good. You know who I would recommend this for? I'd recommend it for someone who's out at their cottage alone,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep seeing creepy stuff happening in the other house that's across from their house, from the window. They see creepy figures.
Yeah, the other house.
Yeah, in the other house. And they see someone wandering around in the woods, and they're just want something to read while they wait to see what happens.
You know what this book tells me? You don't have to be scared if you're poor. Because if you don't own 3 homes on an island, this won't happen to you.
That's true. You heard it here first. Poor people don't have to be scared.
Poor people don't have to be scared. About hauntings.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But in reality, I recommend it for someone who wants a good scare. It is pretty creepy. I think it's a great summer horror read. When I was reading it, I felt like I was right there with them at Beldame.
Mm-hmm.
The heat suffocating me and the sand building up.
Or feel like a good setting, I think.
Yeah, it's very atmospheric.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like a southern gothic horror vibe, and
my new fave.
Right, I love that vibe. I love the aesthetic. But then
I would get haunted to live in that aesthetic. I'll be honest. I think I would.
Yeah. You know, this is something that Mel and I talk about a lot, but if a ghost or a demon was coming at you and you started, shitting in your hand and, throwing it around or something.
Yeah, I just think they get their power from scaring you. And I think, ignoring them might not necessarily work, but I think doing something so out of pocket and, kind of gross would just, they would just, yeah.
They wouldn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
They'd be like, okay, I'm going to go haunt someone else, someone that's not poor.
If I was a ghost haunting people, it would be because it's like a cat, they like the reaction. That's not a reaction anybody wants.
That's true. That is not a reaction anybody wants. So when I used to work at the bar...
You used to throw poo at people.
No, but there was a lot of poo stuff involved. People would go, shit all over the bathroom.
Yeah.
Or one time my boss was walking to the bank to, drop off the money, and this guy shot in his hand and threw it at her.
Ooh,
at Brenda.
That's so gnarly.
Yeah.
Was that by the ROM?
No, it was the other
place.
one.
Yeah,
that makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
What would you rate this book? I would personally give it a 4 out of 5. I do adjust ratings accordingly if it is a horror, but I just think it's a good book, on its own. It's well written.
I really enjoyed it. I can be a pretty flighty person, and I pick a book up, and then it's under my bed for a month sometimes, but I read it pretty quickly. I had to know what was going on, even though it was scaring the living shit out of me. I think at one point, I started reading it and you and Ben were away and I was here alone. So, I remember being creeped out, but then being I still need to read this.
Right? I was curious about what was going to happen. I think, I don't know, everyone has a different threshold for horror. Mel and I consume a lot of horror content, films, books, whatever, and we were still pretty creeped out, so... proceed with caution. I think it creeps
and
up
I'm
slowly.
scared without any horror content. Like, I'll just be sitting here and I get scared.
That's true.
So
I
get double scared.
Yeah, we do. We really do get scared quite often. Like, it's weird because we're very into horror, but then like we're always scared.
Yeah.
And like we go to the cottage together and we're always scared. Like, I don't know.
I'm getting scared right now. Please stop. Please.
I'm not talking about being scared.
I'm getting scared.
But I don't know about other like grown women who, I don't know if other adults who get this scared all the time. Like, we were at Mel's cottage and the flagpole was making a weird noise and we got really scared.
Yeah.
We had to sleep in the living room. And
is it our generation thing? Like, I think about it. My dad goes to the cottage alone and like he's not even thinking about the murderer in the woods.
yeah, is it generation or like, are we crazy? Because when I first met Mel...
What do you guys think?
Please let us know, because when I first met Mel, I knew we vibed because she told me that she'd bring a knife in the shower with her in case someone tried to catch her unawares taking a shower.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore, though.
No.
I've passed that.
Maybe you should. But
Is that
then,
threat?
I don't know.
Maybe you should.
But then when we're at her cottage going for a walk at night, she'll put a knife in the barbecue, so when we come back, if there's someone there, we can stab them and kill them.
Well, so I'm not going to lock the cottage door.
That's just a standard precaution.
Yeah. I won't lock the door, but I'll put a knife in the barbecue.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I draw the line, locking the door.
Yeah, so I think like the horror of this novel is like it's insidious. It creeps up slowly, and it's interesting because you feel like you're in the state of mind of the characters because they're all in denial about what's happening. They're like, "Did you guys see something? I didn't see anything. Did you?" And then they're all like questioning themselves.
And they've been in denial for years because they've been.
Yeah, it's been like decades. You know what? I'll get into the plot first. I just want to talk about Michael McDowell briefly, the author. So he's pretty underrated. This book was published in '81. He has screen credits on Nightmare Before Christmas and Beetlejuice, which is pretty interesting. His books were out of print for a long time. I'm not sure why, because he was diagnosed with AIDS in 1994 and he passed away in '99. But, so for a long time you could only find his books at used bookstores and stuff, but it was republished by the publishing company Valancourt in 2014. So that's why not a lot of people have heard of him, but I think he's an excellent horror writer. Stephen King did the acknowledgement here on the cover of his book, so he's known in the horror community, I guess, but he's not a household name for horror at all. Mm-hmm. So this is like.
Have you read any of his other books yet?
I read Blackwater. I think it's called Blackwater. It was creepy. It wasn't as good as this, but I think because it's like sprawling, so it goes over several generations. It's really long.
Yeah.
But it definitely has those same creepy vibes. It's like a Southern Gothic, and it has the same like slow build of creepiness where you're like, what's going on? So I'd recommend a read. Like, it's well written, but I think it's a little slower paced even than this.
Yeah.
So this takes place in Mobile, Alabama. It's focusing on these two families connected by marriage. So there's the McCraes and the Savages, or Sauvage, maybe French people. I don't know. So we've got the McCraes. So that's Big Barbara and Lawton. And he's an asshole businessman. I don't think that really matters that much. Remember, he's like trying to sell Beldame or something. Yeah. Their children, Lucre and Lee, and then Lucre's daughter, who's 13, India. The Savages. So there's the late father. There's Mary and the matriarch. There's Dauphin, and then he's married to Lee McCrae, and then sister Mary Scott, who doesn't really matter. And then Odessa, the housekeeper. Okay, so so these families, they own these summer homes at a place called Beldame, so it's extremely remote, cut off by the Gulf and surrounded by sand dunes. There's these 3 big Victorian houses at Beldame. One belongs to the McCraes, one belongs to the Savages, and one is lying empty. The third house is slowly being swallowed by sand, and it's home to some unspeakable entity that wishes the family's harm. So everyone in the... all the members of the family have different experiences with the third house, but they all pretend it never happened, and they don't refer to it openly. Okay. Scene is set. We're getting creeped out. I want to talk about the opening passage because it really, like, that hooked me right away. Super intriguing. So... it opens on the funeral of Marion Savage, the matriarch of the Savages. Her 2 children are by her casket, standing by her dead bod. And they stick a dagger into her chest before leaving it in the coffin with her. And later this is revealed that it's a savage family tradition that since an ancestor accidentally got buried alive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that just set the tone for the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was, you're kind of like, what the fuck was that? I think it was super interesting.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I liked it.
And like I said,
I'm gonna adopt that into my family
tradition.
lore. Yeah, I'm gonna make up a story too, I guess.
Oh, just like lie. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to do it. Cool.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I need to, like, am I allowed to do that?
Corpse desecration, probably not.
Like, why can't I consent to having my corpse desecrated?
You know what? You probably can, but you can't desecrate it.
Okay. Like, I just want... that makes a lot of sense, actually. I just want, like, something fun to do with my corpse.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
wait.
would love a Viking funeral. Like, I want to be in a boat,
Mm-hmm.
and then all my closest friends and family shoot flaming arrows at it.
Just, like, in this shitty creek over there?
In Shitty Creek, yeah. in like a sewage pipe.
Yeah, I don't know what I would want. I like that idea that I talked about with that Australian guy about, like, killing myself in the car and then having my body, like, there's a parachute hanging out of the car, and then I, like, pull out of it.
That's pretty cool.
And then I'm just, like, my dead body's floating around.
Yeah.
Wait, remember that thing you said about when I kill myself for attention and then it's my funeral? And then and then there's another coffin wheeled in?
Oh, yeah, so at Camille's funeral, because I know she'll die just for attention, like, she'll be like, oh, no, the rare disease I got from the urethra fish when I was swimming in the Amazon, like, woe is me, I'm dying. Attention, whore. So at her funeral, I'm not gonna let her have that. Everyone will be crying, you know. I'll give him like 5 minutes, you know. Everyone will be crying about it, and then all of a sudden the door will burst open, and like a really pimped out. I'll call Ice Cube up, pimp my ride, my exhibit. That's what I
Like,
said. Oh
Pimp my casket?
Pimp my casket. Yeah, it'll roll up on hydraulics and shit, and people will be like,
Oh, that's sick.
what? What's that? Actually, no, it's gotta be darker, more sad. But anyways, I'm gonna roll up in twice the style you got.
Oh, yeah, because they gotta be confused.
Yeah, they gotta be confused, and everyone will be like, oh no, it was the wrong casket or whatever. And then someone will open it, and I'll be there, be like, oh my god, Melanie's dead. And they'll be scared, and then I'll sit up and like, don't worry guys, I'm not dead. And then everyone will be like, what the hell is going on? And then I'll shoot myself in the head, and then everyone will be so distraught and fucked up that it won't matter. You know, you won't get the attention, and you'll have learned your lesson.
It'll completely overshadow my death.
Yeah.
Until I sit up in my coffin, and I'm like, I always knew Mel was a bitch.
Oh,
and then I kill myself.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on from that.
That's not just like the plot of my favorite movie.
Which one?
Where Bill Murray's in on it and the goat's in on it.
Oh, Wild Things?
Yeah, Wild Things.
We're gonna have to talk about that one day. There's a
Yes.
lot to unpack there. You got everything you could ever want. You got Neve Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
You get Denise
Richards.
Richards. You've got Ears.
Yeah, we love ears.
That's Matt Dillon.
Yeah.
Bill Murray. A goat.
A goat.
Kevin Bacon.
Oh, I
Right?
forgot about Mr. Bacon. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Bacon, yes.
Yes, Mr. Bacon.
So,
Yeah, have you guys seen it already?
okay, so I just had to pause the recording because my boyfriend just came out and turned off all the lights, and now we're scared.
Yeah, now we're in the mood. And it got creepier too. When he came in the room, the air purifier showed that the air quality went way down.
Yeah, I
now
don't-
it's in red mode and it's fucking blowing.
Yeah, I
Look,
don't know-
see,
I don't know if you could-
it already went back to normal.
I don't know
He's
if
been
you could
gone
hear
for
it.
1 minute.
I don't know if you could hear it, but it's really blasting.
Yeah, it's going down rapidly now.
He
that he's left
disrupted the
room.
air.
Do you think he came in here and crop dusted us?
Have you heard of boyfriend air? Where it's like,
Is that a real thing?
yes, people talk about the internet. It's like school air. It's like when you're on your boyfriend, your makeup just like, no matter how good you have it on, it just always comes off because like, I'll go to bed and like I have my skincare on and Ben just starts touching my face and I'm like, don't touch my fucking face. Just like
Yeah.
being around your boyfriend, I don't know what happens, but your hair gets ruined, your makeup gets
Yeah.
ruined. It's a thing.
That's something that I stress about when I think about having a long-term partner. I'm like, how am I gonna wear my like sleep turban to bed?
Yeah.
And my I just think about how
Yeah, well I wore like
all my embarrassing beauty secrets.
yeah, like how like I'm pretending I'm low maintenance, but I actually have like a 20-step bedtime routine where like spray my pillow with my room spray. Like I have the other, like I told you when I had that curling, the heatless curling thing on, and I
Oh,
looked
yeah.
like Queen
Yeah.
Amidala, and he was like, Ben was like, is this going to be an every night kind of thing?
Okay, maybe this is TMI, and maybe we'll cut it out of the episode, but would you fuck with that on? Have you?
So I've actually considered it.
Yeah.
Because there's been nights where I'm going to bed and I'm like, maybe we're going to get it on tonight. But then I'm like, I want to do the heatless curler and I'm going to remember to do it afterwards. So I'm like, should I do it before? But then will he be able to, like, think I'm sexy with that on
I feel
first
like
of
a
all?
guy could still do that, but then they would either embarrass you because they'd like make a joke about it,
Mm-hmm.
or you'd start laughing. You know what I mean?
But then I'd also be distracted the entire time, being like, he's messing up my curler.
Yes.
Like, I can't do
good
this.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't yet. I'll let you know if I do. You will all be the first people to know.
Yeah.
So where were we? We were talking about the opening chapter. Okay, so couple things. There's this weird part at the near the beginning, and because this book, like, Michael McDowell's not very well known, I tried to look it up and see if anybody else had noticed this, and I couldn't find it anywhere. But there's this part at the beginning where India, the 13-year-old girl, she does this drawing without looking at the page, like she's in a trance or something, and it's this weird picture of this, like, Victorian woman holding two ugly baby dolls, and it's super creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, that's this picture of our ancestor. There's no way she could have seen it. And then it's never addressed ever again. And I'm like, what does that mean? Is that just supposed to make us think it's creepy? Or was there, like, an intention behind that? I couldn't, thoughts? I don't know.
Family.
It's just like, maybe it's like implying like their family is cursed or
Yeah.
something.
Like, are they at the cottages?
Not yet when she does that. This is right after Marion's funeral, and they're at, like, the Savage's house or something.
Yeah.
It's weird. And, okay, speaking of India, she's a very unique relationship with her father, Lucre. Couple things I noticed. They're very touchy with each other.
Do you ship it?
Do I ship it? Controversial take, but
Ew.
I can't do it. I can't. No.
It's a weird. I think it's a unique incestuously implied relationship, because sometimes in books it's like overtly sexual, and it's like immediate response skin crawling, but in this it's like a questionable where you're like, they act like a long time married couple. Like, it's not like they're touching each other or anything like that, but just the way they talk to each other seems like the banter of a husband and a wife kind of.
Yeah.
Like, even like there's a point where she pours him a drink or something, and just the way they're talking, the
Yeah.
ease of it is not like...
It's not like regular father-daughter stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm skewed because my family is, like, doesn't touch very much, but they're a little bit touchy, which I'm like, is that weird? Is it not weird? Because I don't know, because she's like lying on his lap all the time, and
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I don't know if that's weird. And then when she goes up to him on the beach and he's naked, and she's just like chilling with him and he's naked,
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
forgot
is that
about that.
weird? Remember when you were like, maybe not for Alabama? We have to remember where this book takes place.
Oh, yes. Yeah. In Alabama, totally normal. Like, father-daughter bonding.
And the thing that really made me raise my eyebrows was when she was like, oh, you should take pictures of me in the abandoned house. That would be so hot. That's odd. Would you say it to your dad?
Yeah, and she's trying to say that as a way to, like, to get him to let her go in there, isn't she?
Yeah,
kinda?
and he's always taking pictures of her. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, imply anything nefarious. And it's interesting.
And then implies the most nefarious thing.
Right?
Let's talk about their father-daughter relationship. Not to imply anything.
Dude, I just realized Stephen King, he's on this, he said the finest writer of paperback originals in America. Obviously Mr. King liked this. If there's a weird incestuous pedophilic relationship, Mr. King is going to like it.
Yes.
Because I'm sure we're going to
That's
get
his
into this
jam.
on another episode, but that's definitely his jam.
Yes. Yeah.
I think almost every Stephen King book I've read, there's something about, like, rape, like father creeping
or
on
a
daughter.
really young person having sex.
Yeah, pedophilia, like either something bad happened to him or he is bad. I don't know. Like, for the record, for legal reasons, this is a joke. I don't know. But if you're listening to Mr. King, I'm sorry if something happened to you, but it's not gone unnoticed.
Yeah, we're concerned.
We are worried about you, and I would like to talk about it if you need. So, let's get into Odessa. So she is the housekeeper for the family, And she is everything the mystical Negro trope ever has been and ever will be. She's the only one that seems to know what... First of all, acknowledge what's going on in the third house, but she also just seems to know about it for some reason, and she's all mystical, and she's like, if we make this weird bread out of the stuff I found on the ground, it'll protect us or something. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And first of all, India doesn't want anything to do with her because she doesn't like different class relations or something. I don't even know what that's implying. But another thing I noticed is that I don't know if this was intentional or if McDowell's a little bit racist, but he's just repeatedly refers to her as the black woman. It's like, the black woman said this. India handed this to the black woman.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a commentary on racial tensions in this area at this time. I don't know. But it also just grew tired based on just repetition aside from...
Yeah, because even if he's just trying to go for that, like, to put that... that connotation in your head by like referring to her like that, like he could have gotten more creative with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like if you're being derogatory towards someone, you should you like if that's the point of your book. Like I'm gonna take this hopefully from the point that he himself isn't racist, that he's trying to show their classism and their racism.
Yeah.
You still could like change it up. Like why is it?
Yeah. It's just like, okay,
it's repetitive.
I'm tired of reading that. Yeah.
Well, it's like when you read a book too, and they always refer to the character's name every time. You're like, okay, I've heard their name like 50 times on this page. Like,
I'm writing my book right now, and I'm trying really hard not to do that because I think about in real life how often do I say your name when I'm talking to you. Or
you always do because you read that psychology book, and you're always trying to manipulate me and make you like me more, but it won't work on me because I'm using the psychology book back on you.
Actually, weirdly, people say your name a lot. It's like, Mel.
Yeah, they do. And people always say my name weird. Like, Mel. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, Mel. You know that, Mel?
Everybody does. Like,
Mel.
Am I Milk? Like, bitch? No, it's Mel. Always desperate, too. Like, when people say my names, it sounds like desperate.
Like, you know who at the cottage? Mel. Mel. Yes. You okay, Mel?
Why?
It's good shit. And your family's always like being like, Mel?
Yeah. Yes.
But very, like, disapproving.
My brother says my name very frequently.
And your dad, like, in a disapproving, he's like, Mel. Come on, Mel.
Come on, Mel. Yeah. I have that effect on people, I guess. I don't fucking know. Or maybe because I don't pay attention, so then people have to say my name to draw me out of my...
That's possible.
reverie.
That could be it. That very much could be it. Let's talk creepiest moments here.
Number one.
Creepiest moment number one. Okay.
Oh my god, she's here. Jojo Siwa.
Do I sound like her?
No, I'm just fucking...
Do I need to say spoiler alert? Spoiler alert, okay? So, it's revealed that Odessa's daughter, Martha Ann, like, drowned before, I don't know how long
With
ago.
a name like that, the punishment was deserving of the crime.
Right? Like, there's nothing worse than her... like, what happened to her than what her fate would have been if she had to live her life being called Martha Ann.
Yeah.
That doesn't even have a ring to it.
I think the Ann actually ups the ante. Like, it's nicer. Martha Ann.
Yeah, I guess it's better than
Martha.
Martha. Yeah, maybe that's just a negative connotation because every Martha I've met has been pretty bad.
Hey, I know one good Martha. Shout out Aunt Martha.
Yeah. Okay, so India is going in the house. She's, like, taking pictures from the window. And it's creepily, like, untouched in there. And then you see Martha Ann crawl out of a sand dune, like, grinning at her, this little girl, and sand starts, like, falling out of her mouth. That creeped me out a lot.
Yeah.
But then there's also just the little moments throughout it that I find so creepy. Like, there's this moment where India's, like, sleeping on the porch, and she feels something, and then you see footsteps in the sand later.
Mm-hmm.
Or feeling like you're being watched, or their weird dreams.
Is it India who keeps having creepy things happen at night, or is there someone else too, like where she keeps hearing the footsteps in the house, or who's like they're
I think
so
it's all of
exhausted
them.
they can't move, and then they keep. You remember that?
Yeah. So first of all, it's all of them. The so exhausted thing. I'm glad you brought that up because we were talking about this before. Mel made a good point that there's this part of the book where they make it seem like maybe it's a heat wave, but they all get into this weird stupor. And they're not talking about what's going on, and they're incapable of moving. They're just lying around all day. They're lethargic. And Mel pointed out that that's probably part of the power of the elementals. The elementals is what Odessa calls them, too, whatever this entity is. So it's putting them in like a lull, like to make them off their guard or something.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for
that part was good because sorry for
okay.
interrupting you. I feel like any part or any horror movie, or book that can make the daytime scary. Because I think even in the day, it's like in the daytime they can't move, and then at night when it's a bit better, creepy things happen. But then the daytime even becomes scary. It's like this weird,
and that's kind of difficult to do. You're right.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're really sick and then you're like trying to get up and do like really sick, and you're trying to like do shit during the day, but you can't even get up, and then you keep passing out and then waking up and like you get all disoriented and confused,
and you're like super out of it.
Yeah.
You know what it kind of reminds me of, especially when they do go into the house. You know when you're a kid. And maybe it's just us because we're always scared, but when you're home alone and you maybe hear a noise or nothing at all, but all of a sudden you get creeped out and you're frozen and you're like, I don't want to move. I don't want to turn my head. I don't want to see what might be there.
Yeah.
It's that kind of feeling.
Yes.
And I'm a sucker for the subtle things in horror, so I think there's like a description of looking out and seeing a figure in the window, like little things like that.
Yeah. The
kind of horror trope, I'm going to talk about my favorite horror tropes that creep me out. Maybe you can add some, but like, when someone's just around the corner, you see like a hand or something.
Yeah.
Or
I think suggestive things are almost always scarier. Like the idea of the monster is always worse than the actual monster. Like that metaphor is true for everything.
Yeah.
Like even like fears, like reasonable fears, like getting fired. The thought of getting fired and fucking up is scarier than when you get fired, basically. Like living in that feeling.
I think I first realized that in films in maybe like 2006 when I watched Signs, because you know that birthday party scene when you just see part of it, so creepy, or when they're running around in the cornfield, but then when you see it at the end, I was like, oh, I'm not scared anymore. Yeah. Like it's not scary when you finally see it. So suggestive, slow build horror is what really gets you. Like the moments just like stack up and they leave you this feeling of dread. You know what, that's what Skinamarink did so successfully. I know it's like kind of a controversial movie it's because nothing really happens, but I felt
that's so unfortunate because it was so creepy. Like you and me, we both have shitty attention spans. A lot of the times, I think. So like the fact that I know we like fast forwarded or watched it like sped up, but the fact that we still wanted to finish it and whatever, because like there's almost like no dialogue in the movie too. No. Like it's very strange, and a lot of the shots are just at the children's feet. Like it's not, which almost was good too, but it needed a little more structure. Yeah. But yeah. Sorry.
No, exactly. I agree with you, and I think I just never felt so on edge, like such a long build up, but then there was no payoff.
So Skinamarink made you edge.
It was like edging me, but then it didn't let me go over the edge. But it didn't pay off, and it should have paid off. So I hope maybe more filmmakers might see that and see how successful that was.
I've actually seen recently a few people talk about Skinamarink in a positive way, but like maybe it's just super horror buffs, but at least maybe that'll bleed into some other people's works if they see that people like that, or if they see what worked to make that terrifying. Yeah,
because a lot of... Exactly. Like, there's something that I'm too stupid to name that made it terrifying. You're right. And I think a lot of horror has gotten a little bit lazy with, like, jump scares and just...
Yeah. Also, just technology now. It's like people are like, we can make the monster look so good, but then it's like, it's not fucking scary when you have this huge monster on the screen the whole movie.
Yeah, and it's like rushed or something. Yeah. So I think that's probably why you and I like this book so much too, is because we're like we are Stephen King fans regardless of the weird shit we just said about him. But I think it's because we love his ideas, but then after a while it just gets cheesy.
Yeah. And well, this will be a whole other tangent when we talk about some Stephen King, but he totally loses sight of what the hell he was talking about.
He's like us.
It feels like me, like. But when you're reading that, sometimes you're like, wait, how the hell did he get here? Like, we were talking about a clown terrorizing these kids, and now all of a sudden we're turtles all the way down. Like, what? Like,
yeah, or even like The Shining. I thought it was hilarious how he said he hated The Shining movie when I thought The Shining book had too much weird shit in it, and the movie was a lot.
We should watch the Stephen King Shining movie one day. Have you seen it before?
No.
He made one that's, I think it's filmed in the actual hotel he based the Overlook off of, and it's like what he envisioned it. I haven't seen it myself, but I like is it Kubrick who does it?
Yeah.
I like the Kubrick one, but I haven't seen this. There's one that I don't know if Stephen King directed it or if he was just there the whole time.
Maybe we should watch this after The Omen to get less scared.
The first Omen.
Oh yeah, the first Omen. Yeah, that's interesting. Also, have you seen that documentary Room 237 or whatever?
No, but I want to.
Yeah, because there's all these like weird conspiracy theories about the film, like how it's like hinting the moon landing was fake and all this shit.
Yeah.
But interestingly,
Oh my god, so another side note. Have you seen that there's a new movie about the fake... We're going to cut this part out. There's a fake movie about the moon landing being fake or something.
Okay, no, is that...
It looked cool. I don't know...
Oh, I think I might have seen the trailer when I was watching
wanna
Mad
see
Max.
that. I wanna
Okay,
see
we
that.
can watch that.
Sorry, you were talking
No,
about...
I was just saying Kubrick, oh yeah, about The Shining, is that, like, apparently Kubrick was really difficult to work with. He was an asshole. So the guy that played...
Wait, you're talking about the moon landing, too.
Yeah, I was talking about Kubrick in general now.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. So what's
I
the
said
guy
sorry a
that
lot this
played...
episode. We're Canadian, guys.
Sorry. What was the guy that played the guy that was like, how you doing, Doc? That dude, I don't know what his name was. But he was friends with Jack Nicholson, who got him the role. And the scene where he got killed with the axe. So Stanley Kubrick is like insists on like 100 takes or something like that. So Jack Nicholson bargained him down to like 40 takes.
Yeah.
But psychologically it wore the guy down so much. He almost had a mental breakdown. And so when he got on another film, the guy let him do it after one take, and he like started crying or something.
Yeah.
That's...
Well, wasn't there a few things, like even Shelley Duvall has said some shit about him, and just them being freezing and all sorts of shit.
Yeah,
and
it sounds like Stanley Kubrick might be a psychopath.
And the guy who's also has The Shining, who helps the little kid.
That's who I'm talking about. The black guy.
Yeah. I was not listening to you, clearly. Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's just a little interesting side note.
Anyways, enough of your talking. More of me. Jojo Siwa. We're practicing our Jojo Siwa impressions, but I think we both don't know what she sounds like.
Please let us know how we did. Yes,
it just sounds like a monster truck commercial. What we're doing, with like, don't want to miss a thing this summer.
Yeah.
Come down, Sunday.
We're working on it. Nobody gets... Rome wasn't built in a day, all right? Jojo Siwa didn't nail her signature voice in a day.
Ooh.
Neither will we.
You're right.
So, the house, I thought it's interesting that we're back to our main programming here. The third house, I thought it's interesting that nobody, like the family, there's a scene where India's asking Luca, whose house is it? He's like, I don't even know who owns it. So there's something mysterious about the origin of the house. Like, I don't know if it's always been there. And there's a metaphor to be seen here about the house getting swallowed up by sand, like family trauma, family darkness that gets passed down, the crumbling of the family structure. It's swallowing people's secrets. It's the family's refusal to acknowledge things that are right in front of them. That kind of thing.
I think we should research more his lore for the elementals. Like, I wonder if in other books he wrote about them.
That would be interesting.
Or even rereading in here, because maybe that would help us. Our cat, we probably got him a little too young, and he doesn't know how to use the litter box.
And he's just like scratching the walls,
yeah,
like partying.
He's
in
like
there.
scratching at the ceiling. It's really funny. And then sometimes he'll do that before he goes in. He'll stand outside and scratch the
lid.
roof.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing, bro?
Like, he's like, you're supposed to scratch the sand, bro.
Dumbass. Look, dumbass.
Look, he's embarrassed. He knows we're talking about it. I'm sorry for exposing you.
Sorry, boo. So, what do you think the elementals are? I've looked it up. I don't know if McDowell ever publicly commented on it. So, what do you think? You think it's real? Is it a metaphor? Is it something in nature that's just out to get us? Is it a demon?
I think there's potential that it's a metaphor, but I think a lot of times when something is a metaphor, it's something I like to view it as both. Like, it's the metaphor for something bigger, whether it's classism or the family trauma or whatever, but I also believe that the physical thing is happening to them a lot of the times. Like, it's not just, maybe it's a manifestation of bad energy, or maybe it's, I don't know.
No, I mean, I think that's good. I also think what's interesting is I think maybe the family's fear collectively over generations fed into it and made it stronger. The fact that they're afraid of it and the fact that they're not acknowledging it or talking about it gives it more power. Yeah. So you and I would be safe always. Because we're always like, what the fuck was that? Like, there's never been a moment where I'm even slightly creeped out that I'm not talking about it.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have to be afraid.
When it comes to mystical shit, or like, not mystical, I guess, or like ghosts or demons, mostly based off my knowledge of like literature and movies I watched, I really full-heartedly believe. Like the beings in literature. I don't know what's in the real world exists that's creepy like that. But in literature, I feel like everything follows that. Where like if you ignore it for the most part, it's better. Like if it's something less physical, like more spiritual creepiness.
Yeah, so the more you
like
interact
a werewolf
with it.
will rip you apart. You could close your eyes and be like, I don't see you, and your head's coming off.
Yeah, like
but
Derek
a ghost
from Teen Wolf could rip me apart any day.
Oh, stop! I love him.
But you're right, like a ghost.
I think, yeah, unless you let it get to the point where it's too powerful, because then it's like you've already given it so much power. But,
do you believe there's anything creepy out there, supernaturally?
Creepy, I don't know. I definitely believe in some weird energy, unprovable maybe type stuff, but then I also don't at the same time simultaneously. I don't know. I think the world's so crazy that it exists and doesn't exist all at the same time. It's really hard to explain my thought on it. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what it is if we create it, and then it's like you have to believe in it or not believe in it or whatever for it to happen, but then it like can't happen forever. I don't know. I just think it's really like ultimately I believe in some strange spiritual stuff maybe, but yeah, I think I don't even know how to begin to explain this.
No, I get that though when you have a thought that's kind of like too complex to verbalize. I feel the same way. I mean, my brain, like sometimes I want to believe in something supernatural, and sometimes it's almost like when you're scared and when you're having that feeling, like that's something in itself almost.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like when you get it, like maybe you're sensing something. I don't know.
I think it's almost like...
But then our brain fills in the blanks with like stuff we've seen from horror movies.
I feel like there's so many possibilities and so many... I don't know. I just feel like the world is full of a lot of things that are true and not true simultaneously at the same time. Like in a very complex matter. And I...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my brother really helped me when I was a kid. So we were at the cottage and my dad made us watch The Grudge. And that was really scary at the time. And then I was really scared and I told him. And he slept in the room with me, which was really nice.
Okay, India.
We're not going there today. But no, he told me, he's like, what are the odds that you were never scared of this thing before, and then the day that you watch it and you get scared, that's when the thing comes to get you? And I was like, yeah.
Isn't that like if you think about it, that's such an advanced psychology or like thought for a child to have. Like that's literally what we were saying earlier. How like, oh, because we're so scared, nobody's gonna come kill us. Like it would be insane to be like, oh my god, someone's gonna come in here and murder me, and then they come in and murder you. Like that almost makes it impossible, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. He was always a smart kid.
Yeah, that's okay, Nick.
Can we share our weird headcanon about Corbin Bleu that we've created? So
how did this even start?
I don't know, but it started as like, so Mel and I always get scared when we're at the cottage. We're like, oh my god, is there an axe man hiding over there? And then it became like this joke where we're like, Corbin Bleu is following us around holding an axe, and then we'll just casually be like, oh, did you see Corbin Bleu earlier holding an axe and waving at us from the woods? Or like, we heard an animal running around on the roof, and we're like, oh, it's Corbin Bleu running around up there. Yeah. And we're talking about
that's just Corbin Bleu running around with his axe. Oh my god, Corbin Bleu dropped his axe.
Yeah, or like...
Why Corbin Bleu,
I don't know, because it's so random, but then we're like... Isn't it weird how Corbin Bleu always stays like exactly like 16 meters away from us? Like he never seems to get closer.
You get scared, but then when you try to step towards him, he steps back. So you're like, he's never gonna do anything.
Yeah, he's just there. Maybe he's protecting us.
Is it a threat or is it a promise? Yeah.
I don't know, because I'm like, is he just like making sure we know he's there? Why is he following us? Why is it at the cottage? Does he live there, or does he materialize?
Is it a physical manifestation of the thing we want to see most?
Dude, that was deep. I don't know. I don't really have all the answers. None of us do.
Yeah. Maybe Corbin Bleu does.
He might. He just might. What's that song? Get your head in the game. The one that where he changed bass.
Fake left, fake right. You know
when it's like late at night and he starts doing that, I'm like, come on, dude. I'm trying to sleep.
Wait, Get Your Head in the Game is more Troy's song. Oh no, that is Corbin Bleu.
No, because that's when he switches baseball outfits with Ryan.
No, Get Your Head in the Game's not in the baseball one. That's in the basketball one. Because then Troy
Oh.
has his breakfast. Why am I feeling so wrong?
Oh, okay. So what was the song where they
I know,
changed
now I'm trying
outfits?
to remember the baseball song because I knew that's what you were trying to talk about, but you mentioned the wrong song.
Remember when we were at work at the restaurant and you dipped your hand in the pitcher of water and you're like, Camille, who am I? And then you like dashed your hand in the water, and I was like Zac Efron in High School Musical too.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was really stoned, when I was in high school,
I can't dance. I know you can. Not a chance.
Is that it?
I could do this and you could do that, but I can't dance. Hit it out the park. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck
That's
yeah.
really loud.
Yeah, that hurt a bit.
So when I was in high school, when I would smoke weed, I would get like really high because I didn't really know it at the time, but I'm kind of crazy. So I would get like weird, like really like fantasy in my mind. So I started singing, what was it? It was a song from High School Musical too. Maybe, what was the song they sing at the beginning when they're in the kitchen at the...
Oh, get ready. The clock is ticking, right? That one? But I don't mean that's part of the lyric, but
Oh no,
the
summertime. No, it wasn't that one.
Oh
Fuck.
no, you're right. Fuck.
I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to look it up after. But then I started singing that, like recording it on my shitty phone.
Plot twist. This is a High School Musical episode.
Yeah, it's a surprise High School Musical episode. But no, and then I started singing it on my phone, and like in my head I could hear like all these like background vocals and like instrumentals, and I was like, this sounds so fucking good.
That's pretty sick.
And then I listened to it after, and it was actually fucking awful, and I was like, oh my god, like did I hallucinate singing a really good High School Musical song, or like is that what people like, does that normal when people get stoned, or what?
At least that's fun. I remember this wasn't like the first time I got stoned, but whatever. It was like I had been smoking weed occasionally for like 3 years, but I remember I was at my older friend's house and maybe we did edibles. Maybe that's why we like cooked edibles, and I was like absolutely fucked. I remember like went to the washroom, was like, I need to breathe for a second. Like, you look in the mirror and you look retarded.
Oh no, yeah.
And then I was like, oh man, I have to pee. And then I sat down to try to pee and I couldn't pee. And then like I was like, I have to go back out there. I've been gone so long. They're gonna be worried about me.
You're making me anxious. I hate
and
that.
then I kept thinking that I was peeing my pants. Like I would start doing this. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't find my keys. But like I was checking to see if I had pissed myself because it felt like I was peeing. And like then I finally told someone, I'm like, dude, I keep feeling like I'm peeing myself, and they're like, what? I'm like, but there's never any pee, and everybody's like, okay, like, chill out.
Do you remember we were on shrooms at your cottage, and I kept thinking I had to pee, and then I kept pulling down my pants to, like, pee outside, and you're like, what are you doing? And I was like, I have to pee. And you're like,
It was like that,
yeah.
basically, except for, like, it didn't feel like I had to pee, it just felt like I was peeing. Like, it felt warm all of a sudden. Like, it kind of felt like the first time I sat in a car with heated seats, and I was like, I got scared, and then my friend's like, what? I'm like, I think I just pissed myself. And they're like, what? And I'm like, and she's like, no, it's the heated seats. Like, it literally, physically, I could feel it
happens
warming
to the
up.
best of us. Wait, speaking of shrooms cottage, creepy things. Remember that time we were at your cottage, and then, first of all, okay, wait, we're going to talk about the other Melanie, but when we were really stoned, it was just the two of us up there, and we kept being like, let's wait for them.
Yes.
Should we go outside and tell them to come in?
What's that called again? The thing that happens to hikers or
Oh,
mountain
yeah, it's a
climbers?
thing with mountain climbers where they're, like, counting people and they think they're missing somebody. I don't know what it's
Mm.
called. My brother told me about it.
Yeah.
But there's this other weird thing that happened where we were really stoned, and I guess I fell down, and I saw this figure that was like bright white light that came to help me up, and Mel still probably doesn't believe me, but I swear to God this happened. And then I went and I was like, oh, you helped me up or something, and then Mel was like, no, I didn't. And I was like, oh, it was the other Melanie.
Oh, yeah, and then I was, like, scared. So I kept being like, I know you're here. I'll be like, I'll find you. Like, I guess I kind of believed her, but I thought it was, I don't even know. So I kept, like, shouting things. I was like, I know where you are.
I know where you are. You're under the cottage. Come out.
It would actually be really funny if the truth was, like, because I was so fucked up, too, that I actually did help you out. And then I forgot. So then when you were saying that, I was like, this bitch is crazy. But,
like, I was like, you're a bitch. Yeah. Okay, one last thing I want to share about our weird headcanons.
One last thing. Famous last words.
Method actor Jared Leto. So Mel and I have this intense hatred for method actor Jared Leto. And it just started as us talking about different things he method acts as. And then one of us was like, you know, when there's a sweater hanging on the back of your door at night and you think it looks like a person, but then you realize it actually is a person, and it's method actor Jared Leto method acting as a sweater.
Yeah.
Or like when and then Michael Buda was like, I hate when you're sleeping and he's like hovering above you and he starts doing that spit thing where he lets the spit dangle and he sucks it back up.
Yeah.
And then, but you were like, And then he starts method acting as himself, and he gets all weird and meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, so I'm going to think about him later on tonight.
Okay. I have to pee. Can we pause this?
Amazing. I think there's a lot to be said here about Jared Leto and Corbin Bleu, but I think that this isn't the right place for it. I think it deserves its own conversation.
Yes, it does.
So I want to get into the ending of the book. Again, spoilers, okay? So I guess there's like the culmination of this. India decides they have to go stop the elementals and save the family. Odessa tries to tell her some weird ways to defeat them. I don't even remember. But they go into the house, and Odessa says, if anything goes wrong, eat my eyes.
I thought you were going to say eat my ass, and I'm like, what is this joke right now?
Wrong, eat my ass. No, she says, eat my eyes. Okay, and then India does. She eats.
About why, babe?
So Odessa dies, and then she eats her eyes, which gives her like protection against them. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then tragically, so I didn't talk about Dauphin very much, but he's probably the best person in this whole family. They're all kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Lee's okay, but
Yeah.
like the rest of them aren't very like super nice.
Mm-mm.
But so Dauphin's like a little sweetie pie, and then right before this happens, him and Lee are talking about how she's pregnant, and they're like giggling together. It's super cute. And then Dauphin fucking dies in the house. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was like, why couldn't like Luca or Barbara die or something?
Maybe that's a metaphor.
So, yeah, and then I guess they're defeated, but I don't know. I think, did it sink into the ground or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so kind of like a la It after they defeat Pennywise.
Yeah.
But how did you feel about it, the ending?
Don't remember.
Fair enough. I thought it was good. I thought it was solid all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
The culminating fight, like sometimes those can turn pretty cheesy, like that confrontation.
Yeah.
But it stayed creepy throughout, and it wasn't dragged out too.
Mm-hmm.
Like when there's a book that's a slow burn horror or something's building up, I don't like it when the final fight scene is all drawn out.
Yeah, I agree.
Then I get bored, and I don't really care about that kind of.
That goes back to the thing where it stops being scary.
Yeah.
Like you have that quick big reveal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like you don't want it to go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
Exactly. So, Michael McDowell, R.I.P. I really wish he'd lived longer and I could have read more books by him because I feel like he would have just gotten better and better over
He would have
time.
lived, laughed, loved. But
Yeah, he would have
he never got to.
LLL'd.
They clipped his wings before he could fly.
Yeah, AIDS did, I guess. But no, like solid book. I recommend it to anybody who's into horror. I think it's
Anybody who likes sand, really.
Yeah, if you like.
It's like the opposite of Twilight. The whole book is just filled with sand. Like that was actually my scariest moment. Like when got
sand
towards
fell out of
the
the
end and
page?
sand started falling out, and then I was coughing and there was sand in my cough and.
Kind of reminds me of after we've been swimming at the lake at my cottage and I go to the bathroom and sand falls out of my bathing suit bottoms and I'm terrified for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you haven't read it, I highly recommend reading it if you're into horror. If you have, I hope you enjoyed our partial talking about the book and mostly rambling. But yeah, if you could leave a like, follow, comment, anything, we would love to hear back from people about what you think. And yeah.
Ta-ta for now.
Okay, so when we're talking about our creepiest moments, this part genuinely creeped me out. You said you laughed, which I'm surprised because you're scared of feet and you're like so.
I'm not scared of feet. I don't like them. There's a difference.
But then you got scared when we were walking around in our big high heels around your bed.
Okay, that was creepy. You guys were at like a weird angle and it was like distorting everything, and you guys were just walking so weird, like you're not like hot chicks, you know? Like you guys are like two ogres who broke into like a model's house, and you put some heels on and you were like hunchbacked around with your arms like T-Rexing, like
okay.
It was
Also, I think the
no steez.
I think the proportions in your room are off, like from being in the basement. Like I think
It
the
is-
ceiling
it
is
is
uneven.
slanted.
So I was there. Well, I think we were stoned or on shrooms one time, and it was tripping me the fuck out, man. So that probably contributed to like the weird angle there.
I was stoned, man.
Fuck
You always
off.
gotta say man when you're talking about weed.
I
Not
know.
you, anyone. I mean.
Trying to be cool. But let's talk about the moment. Okay, so this is Luker telling India about what he saw at the house, and he said that he went to look in the window and he saw the dining room, and this is actually scary. So he saw these men seated around the table, and they were like having a nice dinner, and then he could hear them whispering to him like through the window somehow, like, come in, there's stuff for you to see in here,
Yeah, and they
come
were
up
promising
with us.
him treasures.
Yeah.
And told him he could have whatever was in the house.
And then he said they were wearing flowered suits, like made out of the curtains, like of the house.
Oh,
So
yes.
that was interesting because it showed the elementals are intrinsically tied
Yeah.
into the house.
I just want to say that even though the book explicitly stated what they were wearing, that I pictured them in like SpongeBob Mafia pinstripe, oversized suits.
Yeah, the talking head suit. Didn't
Yes,
we? Yes.
David Bryan.
Yes.
David Byrne.
So he said they got up on the table and they didn't have legs, they only had feet connected right at their hips, and they started running across the table at him, and suddenly he was in the house. This creeped me the fuck out.
I thought it was hilarious. Just the imagery of like the big feet and the way they must have been moving.
If you saw that in real life, you'd be scared.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's fucking weird.
And they have creepy eyes. Like they're described as like I think black, and then like the iris is white but no pupil or anything, which is kind of creepy, and like sand falls out of their mouths. That was one of my top creepiest moments because it gives me like surrealist vibes, like David Lynch kind of energy.
Yes, yeah.
So I was just like, that sounds like a weird nightmare.
I wish they could make this into a movie. See,
Yeah.
that I guess maybe that's where I think it would be cheesy. Like if they made this into a movie, I think they would butcher the scene a bit.
Exactly, that's the thing.
Like they would make it too campy, which it depends how the movie is, but this is not meant to be a campy horror.
Exactly. Like I would love to see this as a film. I think it could be really well done. But I think they need to adjust some of the scenes.
What's his face should do it? The guy who did Oculus and The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh,
I feel like he could make a good movie out of this.
Mike
Flanagan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know who you would
Daddy.
cast. I have no idea who you would cast as any of the characters. He always just has a whole new cast every time.
Yeah, so like not his girlfriend. I think they could cast you as Big Barbara. I think I could be a little 13-year-old India.
You could be the house, babes.
Oh my god. That was so Martha Ann, big feet. What could have possibly been scarier? What if they stood up and they were wearing the khaki skirt?
Oh my god. Please. Anything but that. They're wearing matching cardigans.
No. Oh my god, right? Okay. Now, what was the other thing you want to talk about? Oh yeah. That part where that anxiety, because so what we've mentioned before is that it's cut off by the Gulf.
Yeah, and I feel like because a lot of the book is like a slow, like drawn out, like terror, you know, like that melting feeling. The part where if it's like that real anxiety, that like quick, fast pace, like are they gonna make it or not? Like whatever, when they're trying to leave before the tide comes up. So basically, you get stranded on the island. When depending on the tide, just because the way it is. So I guess things have kind of come to a head. Everybody's scared shitless, and they're trying to get off. And yeah, they're racing against the tide.
It's kind of like that Evil Dead feeling. Like there's always that moment in Evil Dead when they're cut off. Like in Evil Dead 2013.
Oh yeah,
when the
yeah,
road
it was exactly
closes.
like that.
In Rise, when the
And it's
elevator.
flooding,
Yeah. That feeling. That's what I think that's so successful in horror because it gives you that feeling of helplessness, of doom. Because there's always the option in our minds, in our human minds, to be like, we can run away.
Yeah.
But then when that's cut off from you, you're like, I have to face this. Like,
Yeah.
that's when you're truly feeling terrified and helpless. Yeah. Okay, so we hope you liked this episode. We're going to walk away now in our flowered suits and our feet that are connected to our hips. And
Mine are hands though, because fuck feet.
yeah, I guess so. If you have time, if you enjoyed this at all, please leave a follow, review, anything you can manage. We'd love to hear.
If you've seen Corbin Bleu, if you've been a victim of Corbin Bleu wielding an axe in your yard, please call Crime Stoppers.
Yeah, you may be entitled to compensation.
And there are people out there to support you. Godspeed.